Our world is changing so fast, right? It feels like it's transforming at a dizzying pace. So that leaves us with a huge question. What does a teacher need to be to get students ready for a future we can barely even picture? Well, today we're going to dive right into that and try to build a real picture of tomorrow's educator. First off, just think about the sheer scale of this change. The classroom is going from this very physical, kind of isolated place, with a book, a marker, a board, to this dynamic, living ecosystem. We're talking AI, global connections, and all these powerful modern tools. The entire environment is being totally reinvented. So, to really get a handle on this new role, we're going to explore 6 key areas. We'll kick things off with a big challenge, then build on the timeless skills of teaching, layer in all the tech and humanity, and then finally get to the real goal of it all. Okay, so let's start by setting the stage. Why is this whole evolution not just a nice idea, but something that is absolutely urgent, right now? Here's the bottom line. The classroom just can't be a bubble anymore. It can't be separate from the rest of the world. Society is changing literally every single moment, and so education has to be plugged directly into that reality. You could say the 4 walls of the traditional classroom are officially gone. Now, before we get all carried away with futuristic tech, let's pump the brakes for a second and get grounded. Because no matter how much things change, some skills will always be the bedrock of great teaching. It really all comes down to 3 huge pillars. First, you've got to have deep and, importantly, current subject mastery. That connects right into the second piece, pedagogy, knowing the modern strategies for how to actually teach effectively. And all of that flows into the third pillar, having a really deep understanding of child psychology and how kids develop. And building on top of that foundation, the teacher has to be an expert in the nuts and bolts of education. We're talking about skillfully designing a curriculum, using modern tools to actually see what students are learning, and planning lessons that really work for today's world, not just rehashing what's always been done. All right, let's plug into the digital revolution. Because let's be honest, technology isn't just a tool anymore. For a lot of students, it's the environment they actually live in. And just look at the level of fluency we're talking about here. This isn't just knowing about these tools. The teacher of the future needs to have mastered AI assistants. They need to be pros at collaboration suites and, of course, learning management systems. It even means getting a handle on digital creation, a huge shift from just consuming content to actually producing it. And the reason for this is pretty stark, but it's also simple. If a teacher doesn't master these tools, they run the risk of becoming totally obsolete in their own classroom. Their students will already be 4 steps ahead, and that teacher will lose their ability to actually lead the learning journey. But here's the interesting paradox. The more technology gets woven into everything we do, the more that human element becomes infinitely more precious. The real teacher of the future is, above all else, a master of human connection. And this means moving way beyond just sympathy, feeling sorry for someone, to genuine empathy, feeling with them. It's this deep understanding that lets a teacher earn a student's trust and become their guide, their ideal, not just some figure to be feared or, even worse, ignored. So the teacher's role has to get bigger. It has to expand to being a guide and even a counselor. In a future where it's so easy for people to be seen as just numbers or passionless cogs in a machine, the teacher provides that essential human guidance to help students figure out life's complexities and hold on to who they are. So how does all this actually come together? How does this new kind of teacher prepare students for a world that's defined by constant, unpredictable change? Well, it all starts with modeling the right mindset. The teacher has to be a lifelong learner themselves, always updating what they know. They have to be a creator, not just a passive consumer of content. And they've got to be a skilled researcher and an adaptable problem solver, basically embodying the very same traits they want to see in their students. And what are we actually preparing students for? It's not just about a 9-to-5 job anymore. It's about getting them ready for a 24/7 life. This means education has to look at the whole person. The goal isn't just to create a good worker. It's about developing a good friend, a good parent, a good member of society, and as our source material points out specifically, this holistic approach includes preparing them to be a practical Muslim, someone who is equipped to live out their values in this modern world. And that leads us to our final and honestly our most profound point. What is the ultimate purpose of mixing all these skills, all this technology, and these human approaches? What's the real end game? The mission is crystal clear. It's not about producing parrots who can just repeat facts back to you, or robots who can perform tasks without any passion or purpose. The real mission is to cultivate ethical, well-rounded, high-caliber human beings.
And that right there, that is the highest skill of all. It goes beyond subject mastery, it goes beyond tech fluency. The teacher of the future is a master of the art of human development.
This whole vision, it's deeply inspiring. But wow, it's also incredibly challenging. It demands a fundamental shift in how we train, how we support, and how we value our educators. And that leaves us with one last, critical question to think about. Are we truly ready to build the teachers that this future demands?